Hello and welcome to As Built, the podcast from Graphic Machine about architecture firms, buildings, and how both get built. I'm your co-host, Patience Jones. With me is
Brian Jones,
your other co-host. Thank you for joining us. You may hear squeaky noises or what sound like crinkling noises during this episode because we have a new puppy. And his name is Bruce, and he comes to the office every day, and he loves architecture. But he also loves his squeaky toys and his crinkle toys. So that is what you are hearing. We have a third member of the podcast, Bruce Jones. Today, we are answering the question, how do I market a project type I've never done before? Because from time to time, maybe frequently, you will want to do other types of work and branch out into new types. And if you haven't, obviously it's new, you haven't done that before. So how do you make that transition?
I mean, let's start a little bit with why we kind of end up in a stuck position on this front. So you have a portfolio of work that you've done, and this is what people have come to know you in the world. And people can be very literal in how they look at a project. So they think, well, have you done a hospital before? No, you haven't. Okay, you can't do hospitals. So it is a not unusual thing, no matter how long your firm has been around, that there may have been a type of work that you haven't worked on before.
And it's not specific to architecture.
No.
This happens in every professional industry, any industry ever.
Yep. And then you are in kind of a situation where if you don't have the work, you can't qualify for the work, and you can't show the work that you don't have, so you can't get future work. So it's just this circle that you keep going until you try something different, which is what we're going to talk about today.
Yes.
So how do you sort of start thinking about this when, we're kind of getting out of the stuck mode, and how do you start to begin to think about moving forward on this?
I think the most important thing that you have to do first, absolutely first, is to jettison the idea that you need a published project in order to break into a new field. If you want to do education, you've never built a school before, you don't have to build a school to start breaking into that. Your first commission probably won't be like a major university, but you have to think about it in terms of what does what I want to do have in common with what I've already done. Those are the things that you have quote unquote published or produced. Those are the things to talk about, not what was the end type of the project, but what were all the things that went into getting that project to that place, and what are the thought processes that are transferable, what are the skills that are transferable.
All of this is towards the bigger goal of a prospective client being able to make that journey with you. And
Yes.
That's when you know that you've been successful, is when you can be in a room with somebody, walk them through how the work that you've done translates to the work that they may want you to do. And I think that's a good litmus test for everything, but it's something that you work on all the time when you're trying to break into a new space.
I think that's an excellent point too, about walking somebody through the project and being in the room with them, whether that's physically or virtually. If you are trying to break into a new market, a new product type, building type, and you send somebody a PDF that says, okay, this is what we did that was similar, this is how we approached it, that doesn't carry as much weight as if you are there to explain it and they can ask questions of you. They may not understand, even if you spell it out, what the commonalities are between those two things. But if you're there delivering it verbally, they will understand it better.
And I recognize too that there's a finite number of people that you can be in a room with to make this case for them. So a great alternative for your online presence is to really consider video as a key aspect of your marketing efforts to make this case, because I do think having somebody on camera explaining the relationships and explaining how project relates to this other, project type is very crucial to helping bridge that gap. I don't think you can reasonably assume that you can tag a hospital that you worked on and say this applies to a school as well, and then people are going to make that journey. They just aren't. And
worse, they're going to think you don't understand the difference between a hospital and a school.
Yes, absolutely. And that's the bigger problem, is that, not only are you not in their mind qualified for the work, but you're also perhaps not on top of what they're asking for, and that will send them running.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've talked a little bit about the kind of thought process that you need to go through in working on your portfolio. What else do you think is essential beyond, like being in a room with talking to people, making sure that your website sort of has a component, be it a video or a really well imagined case study? What else could be helpful in that process?
I think any qualifications, education, even hobbies and interests that people on your team have that relate to the type of work that you want to do. So, if somebody has a separate degree in sports management and you want to start designing sports facilities, that's not going to take you from, nothing to a pro stadium. What it's going to do, though, is just sort of chip away at the assumption that you don't know anything about this field.
It may get you in the door on a smaller project that you could establish a footing and then build from that, for sure.
And that's what you have to look at this as. Yes, you want the presence on your website. You want videos that talk about it. You want to flesh out your bios so that they're bringing to the forefront anything that's relevant. But you also have to accept that this is going to be a work in progress, that you are not going to put these things up on your website and get, the biggest commission in this area of all time. This is going to be, okay, maybe you're doing a renovation of a small space and then you build from there. Another thing to do, if you have the time and the bandwidth, is to design speculative projects, work on pro bono projects. I don't think putting a lot of speculative projects on your website is a good idea because it makes it look like you don't have other work coming in. But if you have that as something that you can show to a prospect and walk them through your thinking process and your design process, that is really useful.
And I think those kinds of pieces can be extremely helpful on that front, because people will understand, oh, this is the mind that's coming to work if we hire them on this project. And I think that's very, very crucial.
Exactly. If there's an industry association for the sector that you're targeting, it's a good idea to join that. You'll learn a lot, you'll make a lot of connections, and it will be seen by any prospects as another signal that you are really committed to doing this kind of work. Nobody wants to think that their project is the one that you're sort of trying on to see if maybe you want to get into this. So they want to know that even though you don't have a completed project yet, you are in this, and you are treating it as seriously as you treat everything else that you do.
So we've talked a little bit about introducing yourself to prospective clients, but how do you keep from confusing your existing clients when you start to make this change?
Oh, that's such a good question, because this can go so wrong so fast. What you don't want to do, we'll start with that, is do what we like to joke about as self-awareness through branding or self-realization through branding. Let's say you're switching niches or you're switching project sectors or you're adding on, basically.
More likely, yep.
Do not change the name of your firm so that it sounds to your ears more like that sector that you're trying to go into. Don't add a long tagline to your firm that lists out the 18 sectors that you want to go into. Don't add little graphic details of something referencing the type of sector you want to go into. All of this will make it seem to your existing clients like you don't serve them anymore.
Yeah.
You're no longer interested in doing the kind of work that they do. It also just looks really weirdly aggressive and
Maybe desperate.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So don't do that. What you want to do is a quiet ad as far as the rest of your clientele is concerned, because also you want new projects to come in from the markets that you already have, the sectors that you already have. So you want to be serving them full speed ahead, and then you add a web page and you add it to the list of sectors that you work with in your about page and in your social media profile descriptions. And you start to put in some posts about that sector. The posts should not be things like, hey, we now do this. It should be from a thought leadership standpoint.
I think that gets into, especially on social, maybe reframing it rather than being from the brand from a person. So let's say in a firm, you have 3 partners and 2 of the partners are well known in certain industry and certain sectors. And you have brought on a new partner that's going to help you flesh out this additional sector, or you've assigned this person to that sector. Maybe their social is the one that you use as the channel from a LinkedIn perspective to share that new content, because then it really does resonate with a reason this person is assigned with that market sector, and it doesn't tarnish or change the way that people perceive the brand. And I think that can be a great way for firms, even if you're within multiple sectors and you're not adding sectors, to really frame people within the firms as the leader for that type of work.
Mm-hmm. And by not doing the "we now do this" post, you also are not flagging that you've never done it before. You're not flagging that it's a new thing, and you're not creating hesitation in people. Prospects will look at that and say, you're just starting this? Like, I don't want to be your guinea pig. I don't,
Sure.
Come back to me when you have 5 or 10 projects under your belt. But if you can get them to the point where you can talk to them, then you can have that conversation about, we don't have anything built yet, but here is what we've done, and this is why it equips us to do really great work in this sector.
So what do you think the big takeaways are here?
I think probably the biggest takeaway, which hasn't been said but is sort of the accumulation of everything we've said, is there's a certain element to this of fake it till you make it. But what is not a good idea is to just sort of adopt I'm going to manifest this. And if I just talk enough about doing this, then I'll be able to do it. No. You have to fake it till you make it while you are actively working on making it.
Yeah.
And you have to be able to back up what you say. So a really great exercise is looking at the type of work you want to do and identifying what are the things that go into that work. What would make that project a success versus a failure? Then look at all the work that you have done and identify what specifically have you done on those projects that would contribute to the successes of this work in this new sector. And that makes it so that you're not over-promising. Mm-hmm. You're not just blindly saying oh yeah, we do everything, we know how to do everything in this all the time. We're experts in this all the time. You're specifically saying our attention to detail, or our ability to, work with different kinds of populations, that is much more palatable and believable and persuasive.
I would encourage people, from my takeaway, would be to avoid falling into the magic lever syndrome, which is to say that there are no magic levers in marketing and business development for a firm. There's not one magic thing that you do that makes all the difference. It's working on it, pulling a little bit on many, many different levers that results in this outcome. And I think that is so true for adding a project type to your works, your firm's, work type. So that would be my big takeaway.
I think that is definitely, I changed my thinking. That is the most important takeaway. And to that end, if you talk to people who are prospects, even if they're really soft prospects, and they don't seem comfortable giving you their work, if you can, ask them why. Not in an aggressive way, but, we're trying to grow this. Like, what would make you more comfortable about giving us this project? And then work on those things and keep working on spec projects and pro bono things and smaller things. And maybe there's a particular aspect that you can come in. I know nobody wants to hear it, but you can sort of come in as like a sub-architect on a larger project and do one aspect of something and then use that to propel you.
Agreed.
So that is what we have today. Don't be afraid to do it. If you really want to do this work, do the work and make the reason why you want to do it part of your pitch to your prospects. We want to move into this sector because we are really passionate about XYZ. That's a great entree.
Great.
Thank you for joining us, and we will see you next time.